Good morning, St. Maarten. What's cooking? Today, October 16th, 2023, episode 96. Slowly but surely, we're going to reach that magic number of 100. And then we're going to be really getting into the nitty-gritty as we go along. It's a beautiful day today outside there. But in the same breath, let me say to all of you from now already, keep a good eye on the weather for this coming weekend and the start of early next week. We don't know yet what it entails, but it can always change very fast. So we got to be careful with what's out there in the basin right now. We're not sure of exactly what it is, but let me take a sip of coffee before we start. And I want to check out. We got a Caribbean cup today with us. I was asked to do it this way. Normally I drink from the right, but this one we're going left today. One of the best coffee cups I got, courtesy of CaribbeanPalms.com. I ain't doing no advertising for nobody, so don't call me when you want me to advertise. This is for a very special daughter without pain. Let me put it that way. So, let me go. Let me start talking today because we got a lot to do and a lot to say today. But I want to start off with the basket of goods. You see, the basket of goods it has 70-something items in it. But the one thing that this basket of goods is missing is fruits, vegetables, the fresh ones. And the reason I am bringing this up is because on one side of our mouths, when we talk about the national health insurance and we talk about the wellness of the people and we bringing in all of these things, the basket of goods is basically a basket to ensure diabetes, hypertension, clogged arteries. So please, let's get real. If we want to run promotions for elections, be prepared that I will look at it critically. And since we are there selling all kind of cares, let's make sure that the St. Maarten care is the one that is truly the important one. And all the other cares, they are just cares that people want to be like what we call lookalikes. You had the Mia Motley, we had the Prime Minister monkey in the Mia Motley. Then we had the Obama care, and suddenly we hear in the Otley care. You understand? Then we had the puppeteers with Anya, and we had the Aryan care. Let the seniors die. It's okay with us. You see, but we're going to talk about those things because we need to stop it. We need to be real about the country, not about ourselves. It's not about me. Like you have politicians going on the radios. I. They're running on a slate. But everything is about them. Only they know it. They're the smartest thing since sliced bread. Nonsense. That's utter nonsense and stupidity. If we, as a team, can't fix St. Maarten, it ain't gonna get fixed. It's that simple. Nobody can do it alone. That's why we have team, and in team there's no I, people. There's really no I. All right? So let's get serious about these things. I had to laugh though. Last week Thursday when they had a meeting, the leader of the UP, when he said, me and the minister, we are way ahead of you already. I agree with him. I agree with him wholeheartedly. They know what they did already. They know how to set the picks already. So again, we got to be careful, because the Otley care ain't going no place. Let me tell you that from now. Ain't going no place. It ain't going to be implemented this term, and it ain't going to be implemented next year. Because it's so full of holes. It ain't funny. We talk a nice talk, but we can't justify the talk. Remember, it was this same group of people that came out and said what all taxes were coming in this year at the airport and this and that and that. Nothing. Amended budget 2023 can't reach and see daylight in Parliament yet. Why? Not about paying the police. They're paying the police anyway, so let us not use that as an excuse. The money ain't there. The money, the way it had to be there, ain't there. That's a significant problem they have. They don't want to talk about it, and as long as nobody questions it, nothing will be said. But these are realities. These are realities we are facing. The National Health Insurance, the SAHA, whatever they want to call it, cannot be implemented the way it's being implemented. I'm going to discuss that deeply just now in this show, because we need to make sure that people understand the tomfoolery that's going on right now. Last week on the morning show, they sent the clip to me. I didn't hear it myself. The head, or the acting head, I don't know if he was appointed head now formally, of infrastructure management, started speaking about the road fund and about rolling out road works. And I understand that it's election time. So just before elections, let's see what we could patch up. Let's see what we could throw a little concrete. Go and ask the former leader of the NA how he got clobbered at the polls when he threw out, he nearly half the island he had surfaced with concrete. You know what I told him? We can't eat concrete. We can't eat asphalt. He got clobbered at the polls. So again, don't waste your time doing stupidity. What you all should do is take your energy and look at how people can pay their utility bills, how people can put food on their table, because that's the problems we are having. The potholes ain't gonna kill us. You just drive slower and we wait a little longer. And yes, we're gonna burn some gas. But you know how many people go hungry at night? You know how many kids go to school hungry? What about feeding programs? Do that. Do something. Impress people, instead of doing stupidity. And then you hear this good gentleman talk about, oh, the road fund, where we're going to ask big constructions to donate to the road fund. What for stupidity is that? The monies that we collect on road tax in accordance to the law go to the road fund. We have been breaking the law for donkey years. But please, if you didn't know that, go and check it out. Go and talk to the head of the other department that really builds most of the big projects. He would have told that to you, because he was one of those working on the road fund. You all come and take credit for things you have no clue about. And then you run your mouth and you make yourself look like a fool. You're an intelligent little boy. Don't be carried away by things that shine, because they are not really gold. You got to be careful when you say these things. A developer, when he goes to develop, he should be told in his permit that all the surrounding infrastructure has to be brought up to par on his account, because they need to go to his building. So we got to make sure that the roads going to that new development are paid for by him. That's part of his project. That's part of the permit. Not that he got to put money in the road fund so we could give a friend, a cousin work. No, that's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. That's why I'm so afraid of that road fund. So now we get in more information being thrown out about what really went down with the garbage tenders. Remember, the Ombudsman wrote a whole report about it, where there was no transparency, where there was fraud, etc., etc. It went to Parliament. MP William Allen left his sick bed in Panama to ensure that there was an 8-7 vote and that the Minister of Rumi would not be fired. Now it's back again. Now, the people that put out most of the information now on Facebook, and I'm going to address that just now, are calling names. Who shredding documents, who ain't shredding documents, who did what, who didn't do what. And I really wonder what's going to happen now. Because now the names are also being put out. I never put out names. I don't believe in putting out names from people. I think we have a prosecutorial wing and they will do their job. But all this information was already given to Parliament. And when Parliament brought it to the floor of Parliament, politically they mushed it out. Same with Vineyard Heights. When they started the investigation on Vineyard Heights, they took them to courts. And the poor minister didn't even understand the verdict of the courts. I explained that, but we're going to move on. What I'm trying to show you is, right now, social media has become the platform for whistleblowers. Is that good? Yes, it is. Is it bad? Yes, it is. I think kudos to Mr. Terence Ray, who wrote a wonderful column on the two-sided sword called Social Media. It's on Koningsrijkse Relaties. You all should read it. Because it basically tells you that if you take information that's incorrect and put it on Facebook, that it can also be extremely damaging. And those are hurricanes that this country cannot handle. We can't handle a lot of things that are put on Facebook. We already see that when we go at people, we start talking about defamation and libelous and all kind of things. And they're going to address that piece too. But at the same time, it is because people are given information now that things are coming to the forefront. Things that have been buried for quite a while in a dark corner. So, yes, Facebook can be deadly. But at the same, social media, whichever one we want to call it. But at the same time, it can be very revealing for what's really happening in your country. And sometimes you hope that information goes a long way, like what happened in Egypt when Facebook took the front stage and toppled the government in Egypt. Again, the exposing of people has started and it's going to continue. That is going to be factual for now. This is going to be a real rough elections. Tell now, that from now. So let's see what's happening. When will we give our seniors a tax break in the form of no more taxation on pensions or any income under 3,500 guilders? When will we give the seniors some sort of assistance with their living conditions by adjusting their homes so they can live their glory years peacefully and safe while being independent if so desired? I put this one all up here because it bothers me every day when I open the newspapers and I read nonsense things, you know, like this one I'm going to talk about. I have to talk about it. Completion of fiber to home depends on the willingness of the TLM staff, Jacob says. I've never heard utter nonsense in my life like this, but we're going to talk about it just now. Now, Aruba and Curacao both signed off the liquidity loan agreement for higher than previously proposed interest premiums with the Dutch government. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you see, they buckled. No, they didn't buckle. What they did was, if they didn't sign the document, the loan would have become immediately payable. And to prevent that, they signed, they're going to pay their higher loan, they're going to pay their higher interest, but they send a very clear message. A message that we are afraid to send. St. Maarten is afraid to send that message. Aruba and Curacao wrote a letter to the Dutch government, to the second chamber, where they expressed their anger to the behavior and attitude of the Dutch government. Let us not make a mistake. The abuse of power, the divide and rule, the blunt retaliation, because you ain't do this, I doing this to you, because I have the power and might is right. Famous words from one of the boys in the NA benches. This is what's happening. Aruba and Curacao said, we don't care. You do what you gotta do, but we ain't going along with you no more. Our Dutch puppeteer signed the loan. If it was up to St. Maarten, we would have been saddled with another 200 million guilders. And the generation amazing that I want to talk about next week in detail would not be generation amazing, but it would have been generation in debt. Because that's what our Dutch puppeteer wants to do. That's what his plan was. He jolted his signature on the Inia loan. Let nobody fool you. Van Huffelen said so. It's in the media. So again, clearly, and then you see the Prime Minister come and say, oh, we're going to go back and sit down on the table and see what we can do. Please stop talking nonsense, woman. Nobody worry about you no more. St. Maarten is now in the CAS group a traitor. We betrayed Aruba and Curacao. That's how they see it. We went along with the Dutch and not stand with them. That's how they see us. So please, stop pretending. I agree, personally, that we should not have signed. We came with a proposal. Christopher Emmanuel made a proposal on the floor of Parliament how to solve this problem. But again, what can I say? Down the road, we're going to pay dearly for the behavior we just portrayed here. Hopefully, like the Prime Minister says, when the parties do sit, which they won't sit, if they sit, Mullet Bay's land will be transferred to us. We will take the people and we will put them by APS. At least other people have started buying into that idea now. And APS has a new director, Mr. Oscar Williams. I want to congratulate him. He worked hard from the beginning when that fund started. He was there. He saw the good, the not so good when we lost 45 million. But I'm sure that the good gentleman and his team have good plans for APS. And I'm going to talk about that just now. If we use APS to catch these 3,000 people, we are doing two things. We are increasing the membership of APS. We are going to increase the amount of money going through APS. We're going to ask APS to invest in our infrastructure in Maarten, to build our buildings that we need and still remain financially viable by giving them the 5% that they need to turn over their yield on their investments. And once they can do that, they will remain healthy because 105% is what they need. So if they put in 100 and we give them back 105, they will remain solvent. They can pay their pensions. That's what it means. That didn't happen last year. But hey, new director, new vision, new strengths, new energies. I am supporting Team Williams. I really hope that we can get a lot done with our own pension fund and its monies. The Maarten 2030 SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals. This is a United Nations program which Maarten has signed up to. Where, when we look at the number 1 and number 2 goals, those are poverty eradication and hunger relief. That's what they are. But the way we are busy in this country, 2030, that is 6 years, 7 years max away. We will be in full-blown poverty. We are not doing anything to get out of poverty. We know factually that 3,500 guilders is the livable wage. We got 54% doing bad at minimum wage, and about 74% of the total working population is below 3,500. I need to invite all of you all. I got to give this plug here right now. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock at the University of St. Maarten. The University of St. Maarten and the Anti-Poverty Platform are going to have a discussion with panelists. I believe Mrs. Webster Janssen from Statistics is going to be there, and they're going to show the poverty that was derived from the 2022 country census. We're going to have the people from the labor office there that are going to look at how many people are unemployed, that have registered as unemployed, and maybe interpolations on what it can truly be in this island. And their question is, can we be out of poverty by 2030? The number 1 sustainable goal. We're going to see. I'll be there. I hope many other people come to it and that we can have a lively discussion. Because at the end of the day, it is not anymore about what it is. That we know. It is how can we solve it? How can we really solve it? Not telling me that Holland give me some investment for infrastructure loans. No, that's not solving it. We need to start generating money ourselves instead of only borrowing money. Because if we can't do that, like the other islands around us are doing, we have a problem. We're going to have a very, very big problem. So, again, I think it's something that we have to look at very carefully. Let me give a very special congratulations to the police force of St. Maarten. Last week, I know they had Sports Week, and the men and women in blue showed a few things. They showed that they can shoot, they showed they can play softball, And they showed that they can play basketball, and I think they captured gold in all 3 categories. So once again, congratulations to all of you. Job well done. You made us proud. And keep up the good work as what you do in the blue uniform. Next week, I'm going to take some time, and I'm going to address something that I have been looking at for a little while now. And it's called Generation Amazing, right here in St. Maarten. And we're going to talk about it. What does it mean for this generation? And while I'm going to look at it from different angles, I still want it to be a positive input in the show next week. Last week, there was a lot to do about you can't use pension to pay outstanding taxes or other debts. So anything you owe to the government, be it premiums, whatever, health, whatever, you can't take the people pension money to do that. And there was a big thing in the newspaper, and I think when I spoke to people, because a lot of people approach me, what do you think about this? You think this is true? And that you can do it? That's factual. That's the law. That we have never realized in St. Maarten that the law was being abused is because that those in power that have to oversee these laws were not overseeing them. If the minister in Curacao didn't pull on the bell, it wouldn't have happened. We were fast asleep up here. And SNV said they took over the practice when it came from the Netherlands Antilles in 2010. They didn't realize that they were breaking the law. Nor did the government realize that their people were being sacrificed to pay taxes through a pension, which the law says is not allowed. And this is not only this government has done it, but the previous governments have also done it. So it shows you that sometimes we don't even look at what's happening in our own country to our own people until somebody tells it to us. Not that I'm going to say it's a bad thing, but it's a very unfortunate thing. But naturally, this brings up a lot of questions. Questions, for example, like, does this mean that people who paid their taxes through their pensions have a right to get back that money with the legal interest on the money? Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay this back? Because legally you took my money illegal. You took it illegal. The law says you may not do it. Point. Now, let me in the same breath say the following. The law didn't say you're going to pay the money. The law just said you can't take it out of the pension. So if you had apartment rent, they could take it out of that, for example. That would be income by you. Or they will confiscate your car and sell it, or your apartment and sell it to get the money to pay what you owe. That's the other side of the coin. So I don't want to make you feel as if, oh, let me go down there now, go collect all I paid when they take it out of my pension, and then I ain't gonna pay. But it does have consequences for government, for people that own nothing. If they don't own a house, they're living by a child or whatever. Is the debt going to be passed on to the child? Because as long as the child doesn't heir nothing, he owes nothing. Unless you heir things from your family, you don't pay taxes for your family. So how does it work with parents that have nothing and their taxes are being taken out of their pension? How does that work? You see, these are things that we have to look at. Another question is, how long has this practice been going on? Seeing that this law came out of the Netherlands Antilles. So has it been going on for 20 years, 30 years? So prior to 10, was it also going on in Curacao and St. Maarten under the Netherlands Antilles flag that time? And does the government have, or does SNV have a listing of how many people we are talking about? Is this maybe what, 20 people, 100 people, 500 people? What are we talking about? Because the letter was as if, the newspaper article was as if I am instructed shouting on it to stop. Stop what? It has been going on all the time, and the law was being broken. Government should have said, we're going to look into this and see how we're going to fix this. Because the government is the one who collecting the taxes. The government is who's grabbing the pensions. The government is who's sending out the assessment. So stop instructing SNV alone to not withhold it. Tell the government, stop sending it to SNV to withhold. Because they're sending it. SNV making up these things. The government is. So when you want to grandstand, know how to do it, otherwise don't do it. The other question is, are we going to write off taxes of 2018 and before, because that's the 5-year window, for seniors? Are we going to write them off? Or are we going to continue harassing the seniors for taxes? Because that's what we're doing. That's why the tax office sending it to SFV to hold. Not a reason. So do we agree that we're going to say, okay, 2018 and before, 1760, we're throwing that out. We're writing that off. We write off bad debt every year for big businesses that suddenly disappear or change their name or whatever to not pay taxes. We write them off. But for the seniors, for our people that build this country, no, those we're going to sink in a hole. Because that's what happened in this country. I was also extremely happy that MP Peterson came out and said Maarten is capable of creating its own cannabis law. When I read this article, I smiled. I've been very outspoken about this whole RFP for proposal that the minister came and made a whole big hoopla in the newspaper about what we're going to do. And MP Peterson said it nicely. He said basically, why the whole RFP? And why should we have foreigners be making our cannabis laws? And I said, okay, at least they ain't only bunks now. There are more people. And the reason is simple. Because bringing in companies from abroad to do things, in my opinion, is a scam. Why do I say this? These people don't write Dutch laws. They don't know our structures. But they're coming here to free of charge, do all studies, and tell us exactly how to change our laws within all our ministries and within our penal code. And I'm saying, are we serious? They're going to do all this for free. Look, I know that many politicians take some Maarten people for stupid. That's the only word I can find. Because they believe that we are going to just take it hook, line, and sinker. And we're going to swallow whatever they say. Because we are gullible to it. Because we are forgiving. But this is craziness. In Holland, they are writing a law. A law to review the tolerance policy and legalize the cannabis. They're also reviewing where coffee shops should be and shouldn't be, and give communities the right to say no to a coffee shop. If they don't want it in their town, they have their own gemeenteraad, we call them, executive councils like how we used to have it, island councils like how we used to have it. They have a right to say no, then they don't come there. We don't need foreigners to come here and do this for us. We don't need that. Because if they're doing everything for free, then I believe that MP Peterson was very correct in asking about what's in it for them. Are they going to get preferential treatment agreements for licenses, growing, and distribution? Because they did all of this groundwork and policy studies, etc. for free. That's a valid question. That question hasn't been answered. All they're talking about is, oh, we're bringing it to the Council of Ministers. That's the same thing they did with Bearing Point. And it costed us 14 million and counting. Again, nobody's answering the questions being asked. They're coming with a story that they want told. And that's the problem we have with Parliament and the ministers. Every time you ask a question as Parliament, you get a different story. Answer the questions. That's all. That's all it is. And we can dance around it, but that doesn't change it. Curacao and Aruba did a lot of work on medicinal cannabis. And you can move medicinal and you have cannabis. And yes, you have to make certain adjustments on, we're going to look at the aspect of healthcare, but please, right now, they are smoking cannabis with or without permission. And when they are caught, they go to jail. And they get a police record, they can't get a job, they're thrown out of school. For the youngsters and the older people, yeah, they just smoke it on their back porch. Look, let's be honest. Let us stop pretending it's not happening in the country. And it's happening at a significant rate. We doing as if that's not true. But it is true. People go to jail for importing drugs, while we should give them permission to plant it. So to grow it, farm it out, distribute it, and make sure that when it's sold under strict conditions and guidelines. Will you stop the illegal growing altogether? No, you won't. But you can enforce, because that group is much smaller, and people are going to start telling them, look, they're planting it illegal over there, and they ain't paying taxes while I pay taxes. People can talk. That's the human being. That's the human being. They will patrol themselves. But I'm saying it is so unfortunate that we are not dealing with the fact. The fact is, we can do this ourselves. We are going to ask the Judicial Affairs to give an advice and to, why? Hire a few law writers if you need. Hire a few. They're not easily to be gotten, but every time we get somebody in the legal department, they quit and they go elsewhere because they're treated as fourth-class civil servants that know nothing. Everybody from outside got to tell them what's good and what ain't good. That's why all them gone. We had one that today is the head of the Judicial Affairs in Curacao. She left here because we did not want to promote her to head. So please, fix all yourself inside before you start looking for foreigners to come here, because we don't need them. We honestly don't need them. But again, you need to ask yourself the question, these people from the RFO, these companies, are they going to be the new weed owners of St. Maarten? Do we have a problem that our own people become rich? Or is it only that if you belong to a selective crew that you can become rich? Because that's the impression that's being created here again. According to MP Peterson, there are many persons on the island that are knowledgeable to cultivate a thriving cannabis industry. We don't need no assistance from any private companies to do this. Now, I agree with him wholeheartedly, and I will publicly support him, because I started this venture 4 years ago. 2 years ago I was suspended, and before I was suspended I was busy with the tolerance policy with the Minister of Justice, and a committee was being put together to do all these things. Well, I haven't seen that committee yet. I haven't heard from that committee yet. I haven't seen anything in the newspaper. So I don't believe there's a committee. Then came the VSR minister with a request for proposal with outsiders. Not us here, because the way it was written, a few people here went to pick up the request for proposal, and after they started reading, they said, we can't do this. We are not going to be selected because what they are asking for, we don't have. Nobody looked in Curacao, nobody looked in Aruba, nobody looked in the Netherlands to see what can we do. Antigua just passed their act, St. Kitts passed their primary act, St. Lucia has it, St. Vincent, Grenada, USVI, BVI, all of these places have it. Mexico opened it up. What exactly do we need a foreign company here to come and tell us? Nothing. Unless we cut a deal with them to circumvent the boys in the block, the local growers, and our own people becoming rich. Maybe that's why the minister and the leaders are good. The GB proposal. Last week, Wednesday, during the GEBE meeting in Parliament, the UP leader made a proposal to take away more money from government again by means of the GEBE concession for the years 2024, 25, 26, 27, 4 years. So for the next term, GEBE will not be paying this government elected concession. And why does he do that? Because he knows he ain't coming back. So now, to try and win, because remember, the proposal ain't passed yet. To try and win, he throws out a stunt like this. So they go pay the COLA to the GEBE employees. You know what I'm saying? But wait a minute. GEBE employees got back their salaries. They never had a COLA issue, really. Yeah, after Hurricane, things got a little rough. But GEBE is a well-paid company. GEBE is not comparable to the others around. The government-owned companies, Telem and GEBE, are well-paid. Airport Harbor, they are well-paid. They're not like the other companies on the island. They don't fall in the bracket below 3,500. Those government-owned companies, they are the bulk of the middle class in Maarten. And some even in the upper class because they make good money. I found it strange that such a proposal was made. So naturally, things started to turn in my head. And then I realized what was really happening. There was an attack being made on the management of GEBE. Naturally, the UP leader and the UP party most probably are not supporting Mr. Troy Washington and his team. And for good reason. They believe he belongs to the NA camp. So he is going to do things for them. But that's not what this is about. This is about country Maarten. This is about a company that was hacked. This is about a company that up until today, only 90% of the data has been fixed. And I'm saying only because it should have been fixed already. We are 18 months past the hack and we still in there. This is a company that has to make payment plans for a lot of people. A lot of people owe money. Fuel is going up. You just saw diesel going up again. Diesel is one of the fuels they use down there. Gasoline is not used. Diesel is used. It is only going to hurt us more. I am not a proponent that government has to give away more money again to pay COLA. No. GEBE has to become self-sustainable again. And yes, there's going to be a transition period on how this is going to happen with the fuel and the outstandings, etc. And that was what we discussed, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, when I said, make payment plans for 18 months. Break down that pain a little bit. And if government can help by telling them you don't need to pay me taxes now, you can pay me taxes after 18 months, then we go with that. But to tell them, giving you concession, don't worry, government don't need it, is ludicrous. Government can't wipe their backside properly right now. And we go and tell them, hold on to the money? No. One of the principles is that government-owned companies have a concession. And governments over the years have screwed Maarten by telling these companies to hold on to all tax revenues derived by the company. Head tax, throughput tax, for example, at the harbor. $65+ plus maintenance, all kind of nonsense at the airport per passenger. Please, we need to be cautious with these type of things. GEBE has a monopoly for electricity. A monopoly. And they get 25 cents for each kilowatt hour for operational cost. And if operational cost is more expensive, then they should make those books available, make the presentation to Parliament, and ask that the 25 cents becomes 26 or 27 cents. And then also take the fuel clause and explain how you get into it. Because I explained it a year or two ago, and not a peep. Nobody ever come and said wrong. That means that all the waste And all the other things that we don't have a direct responsibility for, we are paying for in the fuel clause as residents. And that's wrong. That's dead wrong. So again, this taking concession and giving it away, that's craziness. Should not be entertained at all. But again, like I said, government, if they want to give a break, stop double taxing us with turnover tax on fuel. Again, go and look when they put out the breakdown. The distributor pays 5%. On the distributor's price, there's 5% TOT added on. Then they do profit for the retailer, blah, and then that price, another 5% is added on for TOT. So please, tell me why we should tell GB, given the concession, maybe you all should take off 5% as government and stop thieving the people. Because you're double taxing the same fuel. The same double taxation. Take it first from by the distributor and then take it from by the retailer. You're stealing it from the people, man. You all are a set of thieves. I told you this before, but now I'll call you a thief. Because you're intentionally doing this. And then you come through the back door to try and mash up GB by telling them, okay, hold your concession and go pay the employees. Because once you open that Pandora's box, you can't close it no place. Because then you're going to have a problem when the judge says, but why did you give them this and not the others that? Because you're opening a Pandora's box. Then also, other people should not be paying taxes so they can pay cola to their employees in the hotel and the taxi vendor and the vendor. Where do you stop this stupidness? You see, MP, not because it sounds good means it's good. You all got to grow up, man. Grow up. Honest to God. The other part that I found simply amazing was when the Prime Minister started talking about renewable energies and GB is willing and GB is planning. But Madam Prime Minister, you didn't sign a contract with Yeton for the 2030 SDGs that had to do with renewable energies. Where's that money? Why it isn't by GB? GB don't have no money to invest. So stop talking stupidness. GB don't have a cent. GB balling for money. So GB ain't gonna do nothing. You all blocked the one engine they wanted to buy to run on LNG gas. So please, if Holland is going to help us, like how they have helped Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, Saba, and Statia to put up solar panels as renewable energy, I support that under GB. But to come and tell the public that GB is willing to do this and that, GB don't have the money. Not because it's election time. You all got to come out and do the stupidness. And then you're running, but oh, how people are, well, the party stands for no defamatory and stuff. But for God's sakes, man, you all line your backside off. That's just as much as slander and defamatory to GB. Because GB know they can't do it. Yet you throwing them there, oh, GB gonna do this, oh, GB can't do it. GB don't have the money. Please, man, stop it. What bothered me, though, in that whole story was the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister was part of the government in 2017 together with William Allen and Christopher Emmanuel when they agreed to the waste to energy. It was passed. We had law firms made all the contracts. GB said no to the power purchase agreement. GB did. GB found it was going to kill them, it was too expensive, it was all kind of things. And they said at that point in time, it was after the hurricane, they can't do it. They don't want to do it, they ain't going to be part of it. I've had my discussions and my arguments with somebody I consider a good friend, Mr. Chittick, and we have always remained very positive with each other. We talk about it, we look at it from different angles. But why wasn't that discussed with GB? We have the NRPB here talking that they're going to do this and they're going to do waste management, and we have the Minister of Romy that has no clue what waste management is, putting out nice posters. But what has happened on the landfill since 2018? Not a goddamn thing other than we buy a bulldozer for them, we buy a compactor, and we buy a cement shooting machine. That's it. Paid millions and millions of dollars on studies to tell us what? That we need an incinerator up there, that we need a MRF up there. We knew that before. Because in 2017, Madam Prime Minister, you had those documents in COM. You approved them in COM. You, Madam Prime Minister, was part and parcel of that. And now you're coming there and sit down like you're dumb? No, man, don't play those games. I don't forget. I got a brain of an elephant. I don't forget. And I'm going to highlight these type of things. Because you all lie too much. Time for lies are over. We're going to expose you for what you truly are. You could have called GB to the table. You could have said, what about waste of energy? You take the lead, GB. We as government will give you the opportunity and the concession to do that. Because with the NRPB, nothing is going to happen other than self-enrichment on contracts with third parties that makes no sense. That's what's happening. And somehow are you afraid to call it because you all want cut ribbons for an office of the World Bank? This is craziness. This is utter craziness. The liquidity loans and the Dutch. The game that the Dutch have always played has been divide and rule. I've been around politics for 35 years, 40 years of my life. From in Curacao, when at the university, I used to love politics. We just laid to rest a great politician that I admired in the Labour Front, Stanley Indecent, Stan the man. And when I was there, he was the Minister of Education back in the 80s when they wanted to close the university and we had a major strike. And Maria Liberia Peters, she was the Prime Minister. Errol Kova was the union from CTEC. Those were days where I was taught a lot about unionism and I matured a lot in how you trust people and how you don't trust people. Politics is a deadly game. But you always see the good in people and you give them the chance. And then comes this liquidity loan. And when you think after the Parliament meeting with our Minister of Finance and the message that was sent by the UP leader in particular, his coalition partner, not to do this. The proposal of Christopher Emmanuel that our minister signs off with Van Huffelen on the loan for India. And naturally they're going to come and try to say good cop, bad cop. So when it reaches Parliament will shoot it down. Because that's the game they played with Coho. But it wasn't going to work here. We all knew that up front. It wasn't going to work. Had Kyoso not said no, we would have been screwed with a 200 million guilder loan. That's what would have happened. And I am sure we're not out of the woods yet. Because, yes, we got a repayment for 3.4%. 1 year. That is basically for 1 year. So next year, October, again the question going to be asked, are you going to take India? Or before that self, are you all going to take India? Or you all going to do this? Or you all going to do that? Otherwise, we're going to do this. And looking at how the government looks, Van Hoffelen's party is gone. They're getting 6 seats. So she ain't even coming back as dishwasher. She's gone. You're going to have a lot more problems for Maarten with the new Dutch government. If Peter Omtzigt takes the lead, we stand a chance because he believes in equality. But if VVD remains in power, and right now they're at the top again with seats, we might have a problem again. We will have a problem again. Because blunt retaliation is the modus operandus right now. Tit for tat. You do this to me, I'm going to do that to you. The problem is they have the money, we don't. That's the problem we have. And we need to understand this. Curacao said they are not going to be entrapped with this type of loan because the CFT told them, you will go bankrupt. The RFT laws sets margins. And what does Van Hoffelen and Holland say? To hell with the law. If you don't do it, I am going to do this and this and this to you. That's crazy. So we allow abuse of power. We allow blunt retaliation. We allow divide and rule because we signed on to the loan. And please don't pretend that you were so smart that you do that so you could get a less increase in interest rate. Because you didn't. What you did is you created enemies in Aruba and Curacao. That's what you did. Nothing more, nothing less. The people that you need to fall back on most of the time when you need judicial assistance and you want police to come up and help you and you want this and you want that, you need some advice on financing, and so those are the places you knock on the door first. Because those are the people that understand your culture, understand your country. We opt to put that up so that we can please the Dutch. I'm sorry, but that I know where I cut from. I still believe in our own first. See the shirt I put on? Loyalty. I am loyal to the cause and to the people. I'm not loyal to the Dutch. Never have been, never will be. I carry their passport because they came here and took my country. And someday, it might be different. But for now, I will respect the rules of the game. That doesn't mean say I agree with the rules of the game. That's the difference between me and you, Minister. You're not loyal to your people. You're loyal to your pocket. You're loyal to not get in trouble with the Dutch. That's your game. And that's unfortunate. When CFT told us not to do it, and we have a member on the CFT that came out of finance, I would have expected you to stand strong with your member, with the CFT. I would have expected that, at least that. Because today is for Curacao, tomorrow going to be for us, I'm telling you. It's a matter of time that they're going to come for us. And the same CFT that you crossed, don't bow to them, then they're going to tell you. If I was them, I'd tell you, rot up. All the backside. Since when we tell you what to do, you wasn't doing it, don't come crying now. Don't come crying now. Because payback going to be rough, I'm telling you, it's going to be rough. The Sustainable Affordable Healthcare Act, SAHA, whatever they call it now. Last week I spoke of this healthcare, and last week the minister went to Parliament with a presentation where he tried his utmost to portray a picture that was a complete farce. What I found cute was when he said, but now we're busy in the information phase. You wrote a whole law proposal, let me say a law proposal, and now you're asking for feedback? But why you didn't do the feedback study first and then put everybody's position on the wall and then make the law, trying to get the positions in line with the feelings of the people? Because this law is for the people. It's not for SSV or for government or for the businesses. It's for all. It's for the people. All of us. All entities included. And then you come with the best possible solution that will keep the law sustainable and affordable. Remember, 74% of our country lives below the poverty line as set for 2,500 guilders as a livable wage. These are fundamental departure points, Minister. They are fundamentally important. Now, when you start talking about earthly care, then I know that you're at the verge of jumping off something. You cannot, Minister, be trying to compare yourself to Barack Obama. You cannot be doing that. Just like the Prime Minister, comparing herself to Mia Motley. That is craziness. That is craziness what you're all doing. You can't do these things. Work for your country, brother. If Maarten is your country, you work for your country. And you do the best that can be done for your country. And someday they will build a statue for you or name a road after you. But a healthcare is a healthcare. It's country St. Maarten's healthcare. It's the national health insurance of country St. Maarten. That's all it is. No more, no less. We need to get off of these type of sounding nice things because they are dangerous when we behave that way. I went to the union meeting and I saw the questions that were put on paper for you. I believe it was 90 plus questions regarding medical and all kind of different things, and 17 questions based on the the sustainability of the care. And I'm not going to go through all of those because I'll be here still tomorrow. But clearly is that only now they are talking to stakeholders about what they would like to do in 2025 and beyond. 2024 is out of the question already. Ain't going no place. No law ain't passing before 2024. The trajectory is going to be too long. So the ombudsman has 6 weeks minimum to look at a law. So even if they try to rush it through, it ain't going to be ready for the 1st of January to implement, which means it goes to 2025 automatically. It has to be implemented on the 1st of January. Not the 1st of February or the 1st of March, 1st of January, and it can go retroactive. Now, the union listed 9 points, principal points of concern, and these had to do with people not being aware of exactly what this national health insurance was, and that they didn't understand the perspectives on what is going to happen, how it's going to happen. Civil servants didn't receive their COLA indexations over the years, and our healthcare is linked to their wages. What does that mean exactly? They're talking about preventive measures, but the prices of fruits and vegetables are increasing while the wages are not increasing. I just now told you about a basket of goods and the fruits and health. This is where you can see that people are looking at it from different angles. They found that there are too many loopholes in the law. In the off-season, employers put their employees to work 3 or 4 days, give them vacation, or put them to work 1 day a week. However, they still need to pay medical coverage. Mental health is not considered an illness. Drug and alcohol abuse, addiction is not considered illnesses. Government care about saving money by only allowing generic medication to be used while not caring about the health of the populace, as many persons are allergic to generic medication. Seniors have been used to using special types of medication for many years are now being forced to use generic medications and have to wait until they get an allergic reaction to be changed back to what they usually use. This is dangerous and irresponsible. Look, these questions, naturally when I read them, and I read the letter that was sent, you start to ask yourself, okay, but hold on a minute. What's happening here? What about SER? What's SER's position? Because SER gave an advice in 2015, 2018, both negative, to be very carefully put, to having this national health insurance, SAHA, GHI, whatever. But SER can't give an advice right now. And the reason for that is that all SER board members, with except of the president, have not been appointed. The minister, the prime minister, to be very specific, up until this day, seem not to have signed off the national decrees, so there are no board members. To my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there is no board, SER can give no advice. Now, the aspect of this insurance is that nobody gets left behind. That's how it's supposed to be, and it's something SFV also tried to implement according to their laws. But unfortunately, a lot of people fell between the cracks, up to sometimes 30% you would hear. Insurances, they can pick and choose who they insure. It's not clear if with the NHI, that's not going to be possible anymore. That if they insure people, they have to insure them across the board. But the question is this: what happens to undocumented workers? People that are here illegally. Are you going to still insure them that, like how SFV is doing it right now? Are we going to intentionally break the immigration laws? These are things that need clarity. This is a new law. This is a law that can replace things. What are we exactly going to say now? If we have in SFV, let me put it to you this way, about 15% of the workers are undocumented. You heard that number, right? 15% approximately. We got to be careful what we are saying now with this inclusion. Because what happens to undocumented workers? What happens to their families? How does this work? How does this honestly work? Because if that is not clear, that means the documented going to be paying for the undocumented. So our premium going to go up to include that group. That's what it means, because that group is not paying premiums. So please, you know, when I see us come with tables, oh, it's going to go up 2.2% or maybe this, I mean, look, please. We have no clue what the playing field is. All we know is what we pay now. That's what we know. But we don't know how it's totally related. Because if we knew that, we would know what to do with the undocumented, but we don't know. Because that's not clear. I didn't hear that. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear it. I didn't see where that was going to play in there. Now, I found it a little bit unfortunate when the minister said that if government will leave things as is, it will be better for them because they would have to pay less into the, they'll be paying less if they stay the way they are right now, instead if they go to the general health insurance, because they have to pay much more. I think they have to pay 9% or something like that. Now, well, the government is the direct fault of SFB being in the deplorable financial situation it's in. The government is the direct fault. All right? They gave SFV the building to pay back rent because they owe SFV and the OZR fund hundreds of millions that they don't pay. They take the government, they take the civil servants' money, but they don't pay it over. And then they come talk about, oh, every month we just pay 1 point something million, and yeah, if the government don't go, we still gotta pay for it. Again, hundreds of million, 1 point something million. Please. You're using schommelfondsen, so you're taking money from one, using it by the other. It's the same thing like the AVBZ fund. What's the situation with that? Where is that going to find itself in this new national health insurance? How are we going to play with that? Are we going to be taxed separate for that again? And then is that going to go in there? What happens to the mental health patients? You know, those are diseases. That's what this fund was made for. Anybody with a disease longer than 3 months. Well, people don't go crazy and get better after 2 months. They need treatment, psychological treatment, sometimes even guidance. But they're not covered medically. So the loophole remains. I just said that we have a lot of loopholes. That's one of them. They remain. Because we don't... Look, I don't want to unnecessarily keep going down. Same with the seniors. 60-plussers. By law, there's nothing really to handle 60-plussers. But SFV said, okay, let's see if we can find a solution for people that can't get a PP card from government because they earn too much. Their pension is too high. They said, 60 plus, give me 10% of your pension and I'll cover you. Pension is 5,000, you pay 500. Pension is 10,000, you pay 1,000. That's what they said. 10%, I think it was. I see them, they're talking about 12.5%, but I thought it was 10%. But again, bottom line is this. A lot of people that are taxi drivers are insured by SFV. Those are sole proprietors. And they did that by creating an association who functions as the employer. And everybody makes a fixed salary, and with that, they were able to get SFV insurance. So I think we can find a way to get all sole proprietors involved, because sole proprietors were excluded from the premiums because nobody knew what they were really earning. It was difficult to pinpoint if somebody's driving taxi made $1,000 this month, or $5,000, or $500. Difficult. And with the more plates we keep giving off, the worse that's going to get, because the pie only gets smaller. It ain't getting bigger. We don't have more tourists coming. We have actually less tourists coming. That's what SHTA told us. 9% of the rooms were not filled compared to last year. So again, we got to be careful when we talk in these things. We need to put all the numbers beside each other. If we don't do this, we're going to get a problem. And then comes this sustainability. And in my opinion, also affordability. Because if 74% of your population lives below the poverty line, the accepted poverty line, or the acknowledged poverty line, then we have a problem, people. We have a very, very serious problem. Now, how sustainable is this Healthcare Act actually? Well, it's sustainable. How is it? What are the numbers that are telling you? Right now, SFV is paying more than it's getting. So how are you going to change that, telling people that the care ain't going down? Telling people that the premiums is just a little bit extra. That's crazy. Can't work. Look, there are two models. You have the English model, where everybody is insured outright. Then you have the Dutch, Curaçao, Aruba model, where you get a basic package and you can pay for more. You can take a supplement insurance if you so desire. Everybody goes third class. You want to go second or first class, get insurance to do that. You want epidural when there's a delivery, you pay the $800 as you pay right now. It ain't covered. You see, in other insurances, it's covered. Like in Holland, it's covered. Without their basic package is different to our basic package. Generic medications, cost savings. Doing the most of the operations in St. Maarten by rotating doctors is cheaper than sending them to Colombia, Panama, Santo Domingo, etc. The problem is this: when you continuously have rotating doctors and you have a chronic disease like cancer, you must understand for that patient that every 3 to 6 months somebody else can tell him how they gonna fix he or she. That's a problem. Continuity is a big problem for us here because we rotate a lot of doctors. And that is not the minister's fault, but that's a reality for a small island. That's a reality for our hospital at this point in time. So we have to find those type of solutions because they're going to affect the National Health Insurance or the SAHA. The doctors who said that they agree to the terms that they are going to put in here now moving forward. The minister cannot tell me right now the doctors agreed because they haven't. So again, you see, these are the problems. Tomorrow night, we're going to have a little statistical something on how poor is St. Maarten and can we eradicate poverty. And we're going to also get a good glimpse on how many unemployed people we have. Because they did a census in 2022. So we're going to get a decent view of how much we got and did it go up or did it go down. How many people are registered at the labor office and how many are not. Because a lot of people say, I ain't registered there anymore because I said I didn't get no damn job. So I ain't worried, that's too much. And because of that, the impact on the income of the National Health Insurance is there. And this means to say we need to look at it a little better. We can't just, it isn't one shoe fits all. Not with these type of things. Not with health insurance. It doesn't work so. So again, we have to know on how this works, you know? How does government know how many people they're going to budget on? Because clearly our census is fluctuating up and down, and the census only have registered people, not unregistered people. And the unregistered, like I said, can float between 10 and 15% of the population, if not more. Remember, we have an open border with the French side. A lot of people come over when needed. Again, how are the undocumented going to be taken up in this healthcare? And it's going to keep coming back because the undocumented, somebody got to pay for them. How does that sustainability work? For the jobless, if they are from the country, the government gonna have to pick up the tab. Nobody else gonna pick it up. We gotta pick it up. What about undocumented children? You know, we say, oh no, all the children are automatically covered. That's nice. That's nice to say. But if they're undocumented, are they still covered? Because we allow them into school because of compulsory education. We register people at SFV that are undocumented because the law, when you work, you must be insured. The law says it. So they do it, even though the people didn't get the papers. And you know, we had a whole pilot project with paperwork and who all were going to get to be registered in Maarten, etc. So I haven't heard a peep from the Minister of ASI, nor the Minister of Justice. And the question is, what happened with that one? You see, there are so many things that, you know, at this point in time are not clear. And that only makes it a bigger problem for everybody. What is going to be the income for so what is the premium going to be for the taxi drivers, the bus drivers, for this Healthcare Act? What is that going to be? You're telling us, oh, everybody is going to be insured. But if they can't afford it, how are you going to do that? And then, you know, we talk about the informal sector. We want to regulate the informal sector. But the informal sector is not going to be regulated in 2 weeks. That's going to take a time. Because there's a lot that plays a role with the informal sector. The informal sector is bigger than we actually believe. And we need to understand that as long as we don't have the numbers, we cannot be talking these things. When we look at these questions that came out, and all of these questions came out from the unions, the various unions that came together, you need to ask yourself, can this work? Will this work? Will it be sustainable? Will it be affordable? It failed in Aruba and Curacao thus far. Holland is having a lot of problems with it. Healthcare is a very expensive something and a very difficult something. Now we say we're going to add in dental care and vision. Two very expensive things. We can't even cut it right now. But it sounds good. We're going to put vision and we're going to put dental. Civil servants, they had vision, and I think they have, to an extent, something with dental too, but I know vision for sure. You're now going to add in these costs. These are not small costs. I can speak on vision a little bit. With the works that we have done with the Lions Club, there's a lot of money involved to get glasses on people's faces. Ain't no $5, ain't no $10. It's a lot of money. And I think when we really look at what it is, we can then get a better grip. I wholeheartedly support that vision and dentistry, to an extent, will be part of the basic package. You have a right to be able to see. You have a right to be able to learn. And if you need glasses to see the blackboard to learn, you have that right. And that right shouldn't be taken from you because of money. It does happen in a lot of countries, but we should try for it not to happen here. Again, you know, we talk about preventive care. And preventive care is normally something where healthy people are checked not to get sick. Those that are sick already, you don't have to go into the preventive care. They're already a diabetic. They already have cancer. They already have vascular problems, rheumatism, diabetes, dementia. They have it. That's not what the preventive care is for. I don't want it to be fooled with this. The preventive care is where healthy people go in to be looked at and checked to prevent you from getting ill. Because it is cheaper to keep you healthy than to take care of you when you're sick. That's the basic concept, people. But if we can't even regulate fruits and vegetables in our daily goods, a basket of goods, what kind of preventive care are we talking about? When a bottle of water is just as expensive as a beer or a soda. When we allow schools to be selling chubbies and all kind of stupidity full of sugar, what preventive care are we talking about? Because we are already creating diabetes at the age of 10. Look at America. Look at the obesity over there. Look at Holland. The children are becoming obese because of the habits that we are instilling in them. Yet, we're talking preventive care. Look, there was a statement made that most costs presently in this whole healthcare package are already covered by SSV. And that the extra premium is to cover more costs. I think that's a false statement. SSV is going bankrupt, which means the extra premium is to cover that cost, not new cost, that cost right now that in the graph that the minister himself showed, SSV will be down and out within 8 to 10 years, if not earlier. So again, we make these things and we put a spin to it. That's why I said from the beginning just now, this whole presentation is a farce. At this point in time, nothing is anchored in stone. Nothing. Other than either SSV lying to us about how much money it got and everything is dandy, so their income is higher than their expensive, which in fact I can emphatically state that's not so. Or two, the coverage that we are going to be getting in this new NHI, GHI, SAHA, Otley Care, whatever the hell we want to call it, is going to be much less than we have right now. That's the onlyest way that we're going to be able to pay for it. You're going to get a package, a minimum package, and whomever wants more, pay for it, so that we get back to the system that we have always lived. The rich can pay for it, and the poor will just have to go with what they got. That's what it is. So either we're going to tell the truth and explain to people what they're up against, or let us not do this. Please, I ask that we don't do these things. You know, elections are coming. That's crystal clear. Elections coming. So on November 6th to the 8th, we're going to have a symposium for all the business people so that they can understand what's going to happen with Otley Care, NHI, GHI, SAHA, whatever they want to call it. They're going to explain to them how that's going to work. The unions, they ain't going to hear nothing. The doctors ain't hearing nothing. We, the users, ain't hearing nothing. What's going on? You know, like I said, we have a Dutch puppeteer playing minister in our country when his only goal is to sell us out. Thank God for Curacao that we stand a chance to get back Molybino. Otherwise, we would have gotten what exactly the minister was planning. To throw us into poverty And the plan that William Allen spoke about, that the Dutch would thief Malaby from us, would have gotten a chance to become a reality. Like it or not, I didn't say that. They did. The minister's talking about no plates are for sale and leasing. He wants to stop it. If that is the case, it means that there will be no more help chauffeurs. But we all know that is BS. Election time come, they gave their plates. Some fellas, them school children tell me they have to pay 5,000 a plate. Now you do that times 40, that's 200,000. So you have an idea what went down. Everybody who had a help chauffeur and lost it is going to apply for one now and get it again. Otherwise, it means that all those people that have a taxi plate or a bus plate, but got a stroke or whatever, and can't drive no more, but that is their sole income, they'll have to give up a plate. But that ain't gonna happen. It's election time. So again, you know, I always say, I always enjoy when I read stupidity in the newspaper. I hope the people in St. Maarten realize, though, that it is these type of gimmicks that they try to win elections with. Give plates to people, Dutch or not, collect money, and election day, do what they do best. And those that know what they do best know what I'm talking about. But again, the question though remains, when did the law change that bus and taxi licenses would be granted to non-nationals? When was this publicized in the National Gazette? Because it has to be. That's the law. When was it? Maybe the minister can come out on Wednesday and say it was published that and that day in the Gazette and blah, blah, blah. And he can then say when the law was changed. And if it was he that changed the law, that it isn't anymore something for the Dutch passport holder, but it is for Johnny Peter Paul. There was a whole airport saga on the social media again, and I was amazed at all the names of people that were fired or are being fired at the airport. And the reason I say this is because I want to touch something now that I had long thoughts about. NA stands up against slander and defamation. The board of the National Alliance Party expresses dismay and disbelief at the current wave of rhetoric and negativity that has flooded our society, particularly on social media platforms in recent weeks, the NA said in a press statement. Especially the attacks on specifically women is a serious concern and will stand up against perceived sexual orientation. And will stand up against perceived sexual orientation. Let me stop there. And let me ask a few questions. I got about 3 questions I need to ask because you're standing up against perceived sexual orientation. Why are we not allowing same-sex marriages in St. Maarten if the NA is so against perceived sexual orientation? Why? Who told the Dutch government that St. Maarten isn't open to, or there's no place for such a thing as same-sex marriage? It was the Prime Minister of this country that said that to Van Huffelen. The Prime Minister also represents the National Alliance Party. Look, I have a problem with hypocrisy. I don't support the videos on social media when it comes to attacking people's gender belief or their families or anything. All I have said, and I'll say it again, information that was hidden is coming out. And I spoke about that double sword of social media. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But sometimes people throw out information and everybody runs with it and then they do something. But let us not pretend that this whole marriage equality was not swept under the rug by DNA. Let's not pretend that. I have given my position, how I see things, but you cannot pretend that, oh, what one person is saying in a video is dead wrong and your actions to the country are picture perfect. How can we speak of inclusivity, gender biased, when you all are the ones that are not allowing the discussion to take place of same-sex marriages? You all are in government. If you don't want it, then have the discussion and say, based on A, B, C, D, we don't agree with it. We are going to adjust our constitution to such. Because that's what we have to eventually do. Because in accordance with the Human Rights Covenant, we are in breach. And Curacao felt that blow in the court case last year. So I'm just saying, I ain't telling you to go A or B, you know. But don't come out, start talking about, oh, you stand for this, when at the same token you're doing the opposite. That's hypocrisy. That's utter nonsense. Look, I don't support any form of implicating family members into political bashing. Nor do I support gender bashing or homophobia. But like I was told in a previous court case by a judge, because I was being ransacked by a media house. I was this, I was that, and all of those claims proved to be false because I was acquitted in the Supreme Court of everything that was written. You know what the judge told me when I went to the courts? High winds catch a lot of wind. High trees catch a lot of wind. That's what the judge told me. And they did nothing. So again, we got to be careful because our society and rich culture has changed over the years. But we didn't change along. So we still stuck in our ways and our beliefs. But the world has moved on. That's our problem. The world has moved on. Generation amazing. Remember that word. The press statement continues with this part. Furthermore, the groundless accusations lodged against hard-working individuals who strive for self-empowerment, home ownership, and socio-economic progress are not only small-minded, but are also defamatory and libelous. These baseless claims aim to disempower Samaritans and perpetuate a mentally enslaved state. We as residents of Samaritan should encourage and applaud those who strive for excellence and self-improvement. I support that, what was stated here. But does the government support it? Does the any led government support that? And if they say yes, I said they lie. They lie. Go look at the airport, how much locals have been sent home under this government. And when they had sent home, the little dictator at the airport, Knopp told Silveira, either you put him back or send all you home. And what happened? They fired the whole holding board of locals, put a bunch of chalangos, and put back Brian. So please, stop it. Look at TLM. People being fired. People being forced on pension when the law says that pension doesn't start at 60, but at 65. But we there for self-empowerment. And please, man, shut your mouth and your stupidness. You see, this is the problem I have. The article was a good article if it didn't carry any head. Had they said the people of Samaritan, I would have 100% supported it. But again, I have a problem with the way we do these things. You know, look, let me just say this. There was another piece that, caught me. As the National Alliance, we celebrate the aspirations of our Samaritan people who study diligently, work hard, save responsibly, invest wisely, and chase their dreams of success in our great nation. We all agree with that, but that's not what the videos are presently about. The videos ain't about the people. The videos are about politicians or people attached to the politicians that are doing craziness. Let's not try to mislead the discussion here. The NA has allowed a lot of hard studying Samaritans to be destroyed at TLM, airport, harbor, wherever. They stood by as government. And they said, oh, we can't get involved, oh, arm's length, oh, corporate governance. When convenient, they did that. I can even recall it said, 33 years of experience means nothing. Go follow some courses because the Minister of Finance could set you up with Coursera. That's the NA statement, not mine. But now, elections are around the corner. So we got to come up with some sweet stuff. We got to come up with some lies. We got to come and sweeten the pot. But let me ask the question. Are they qualified now again? Because they were qualified the last election. How much got a job that went to the job fair from the 350 something? How much got a job? 1, 2, 3? Handful, you can count them. So please, man, I need you all to stop. This thing about we are one, you all are not one. Everybody fighting each other in there. But that's good for us. That's good for the other parties. But like I said, time to highlight you all. And then comes this second story that is going to fall right back into what I just said. TLM workers ain't trench diggers. According to the Prime Minister, the TLM workers are the ones that have screwed up the fiber to the homes project that it cannot finalize because they said they ain't trench diggers. I got to laugh, please. My apologies. I got to laugh. That is the biggest crock of hot shit I have heard in a long time. When this project started, it started with Mayor with a contract. Oh, no. Before that, there was another group brought in from Suriname, I believe. They did St. John's. That they had to rip back out everything because it was done wrong. They sent them all. The fellas that used to do fiber splicing, Fish and all those boys were released from TLM because they had no more work for them. They weren't going to do it. Then suddenly they decide, after they left with everybody, no, we're going to do it. So they brought in splicers from other countries. Then they went to Mayor. They fired Mayor, lost the court case, have to pay $4 million plus. Then they brought in another company. They hired people. Who was doing the trenching all that time? It wasn't TLM. It wasn't the TLM worker. It was the subcontractors, Madam Prime Minister. Don't come blame TLM workers now because they don't want to trench. Why you don't go trench with your set of ministers up there? You also go trench then. Because TLM belongs to you all, you all the shareholder. You all gotta stop this stupidness. You're talking about liberals? You're talking about you're slandering the people that they don't want to trench. So that's why 30% of the project can't finish. Prime Minister, 30% of the project can't finish because of bad management within TLM on this project. SOB said so. That's why you hid the report for a year. Stop talking stupidness, man. You're irritating me now. When you irritate me, you make me ball out. I am sick and tired of this nonsense. You're a liar, Madam Prime Minister. TLM's project was destroyed by TLM management, not by TLM workers. They don't decide to break contracts. Please, if you're afraid to deal with the issue, step aside. Let somebody else do it for you. But don't come here and say, oh, TLM workers don't want trench, so we can't do the work. This is utter nonsense. And then, oh, GEBE gonna help us trench. But GEBE only uses subcontractors to trench. So who gonna pay for those subcontractors then? GEBE? So GEBE gonna pay for tell them to trench, to do fiber to the homes. GEBE who can't even pay their cola. Madam Prime Minister, who are you talking to? How stupid do you think people is, Maarten? Look like those licks gone to your head. Jesus Christ. I can't believe that you can even say this on the floor of Parliament. But nevertheless, January is right around the corner. So let me explain you all what the Now Party stands for. Because I've given you enough to turn off the switch and say, I ain't even going to vote. Because what am I voting for? Well, let me tell you what you're voting for. You're going to vote for the Now Party. Let me explain you what the Now Party truly stands for. Because, yes, we are very critical. And we might even be radical sometimes. That it might frighten you. But you know what? If you believe in something, stand for it. If you don't believe in it, don't talk about it. Just move on. We launched our manifesto last week. And I want to thank everybody who came because we had a full house. We even had people outside sitting down chilling because there were no more seats inside. And then GEBE knocked off on us, but thank God it was a generator built by NRPB in the shelter there. You know, a lot of money was used to build it, and I'm happy for that. So the lights came back on and the show continued, even though the generators wasn't pushing the air cold, so get a little hot in there. But it was okay. Because in our manifesto, we spoke of a few things. We spoke of US pre-clearance, something that whomever we join government with, we want that. That is going to help this country become great again. It's going to bring more tourists. It's going to drop the price of tickets to St. Maarten because low-cost carriers can come in and turn over very fast. So that's one of the things. The most important thing for me was that our seniors are taken care of and there will be no more taxes taken from their pensions. So not about old debt, you know, you can't tax them anymore. They ain't paying no tax on that pension. Even though they had previous benefits, we're going to have to suck that prune and we're moving on. But we ain't taxing them no more. It's over. They are going to live the life they deserve in our country, their country. We're going to have a subsidy program put together where everybody below 3,500 guilders is going to be subsidized upwards. And it is a very ambitious program. Let me put it that way. It's very ambitious. And it's going to most probably be also quite costly. But you know what? If you can't dream the dream, you can never live that dream. And I'm going to make that dream a reality for country St. Maarten. The Now Party is going to make this a reality. We're going to work very hard to make this a reality. This is going to cover housing, medical, food, utilities, transportation, just to name a few. And you notice I put medical in there because I'm not sure of this national health insurance and the way it's going to go. Our National Museum is going to be that courthouse on Front Street. That is not going to be a courthouse where we bring in people shackled and guns all over the place, and that's what tourists see when they're in the center of our town. We're going to make a deal with APS, so APS can build a justice wing on the parking lot they got here, close to the government building, and house the courthouse and the rest of the justice, so they don't have to be down ATLH Road or all over the place scattered. We're bringing them in one center point. And the rent we're paying all over the place, we'll be able to pay for that building and other buildings that we want to do. Last time I spoke about it, I told you all, we pay close to 19 million guilders rent a year. If I take a loan for 200 million, I can pay that back in 12 years, 13 years with interest in our own buildings. But we don't do that because we continue keeping certain people happy by renting from them. This is the problem we have in this country. These are the things we need to address. Tax reform will be done so that we leave money in people's hands. We give them buying power and we share the burden with everybody, not only those that are registered, but with everybody. We're going to look for them. We're going to find you. And you're going to pay your fair share. That's all it is. That's how it has to be. We want a national sex offenders registry. We cannot have people living in our society that molest children, and when they reach in front of a judge, they get community service. But the people need to know who they are, so they stay away from their children. These are serious things. And we're going to give them the attention they need. We believe, as the Now, that we should have our own prosecutor general for our country called St. Maarten, and that we will be part of a common courts that includes Aruba and Curacao. Not the best islands, not the Dutch. We believe we need a courts that is ours, that focuses on our piece. Right now, we have it for all the islands. And the consequences is that the Dutch have a lot of influence on that court. A lot. And that doesn't need to be so. Nothing against them. But we are autonomous, they say. We should be able to stand and fend and pay for ourselves. That's what they tell us. Yet you don't want to give us that opportunity. And we do have ministers that have sold out and continue to sell out the rights of the people of St. Maarten. That's going to be for another show. We need a Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Animal Husbandry. And when we get in January, we will present the already written animal cruelty law, where no zoo or dolphinarium will be able to be housed or built anymore in St. Maarten. The path to independence will be decided by the people of this country through a referendum. And whatever comes out of that will then be the direction the country will start moving, and the direction that the Now will then set itself to go. But we will not be stating it must be this or it must be that. I think this is a choice the people have to make. And politicians have their opinions and they can guide the people the way they feel. But right now, we are leaving that in the hands of the people. This is a part of our manifesto. Every week, we're going to be releasing parts of the manifesto. And on November 22nd, we're going to release the entire manifesto. I think it's 38 or 40 pages. It will be digitally available once our leader releases it. Now, I need you all to just remember this. We have publicly launched various points that we are standing for, and as usually, many parties will come with some of these pointers now that they realized that they're now coming with it. One of those things is, for example, senior care. Another one is legalization of cannabis. Everybody now suddenly say, let me jump on bunks and the Now bandwagon, because it's getting good traction. But it is not about the traction. It is about the commitment. The honest commitment to do what's needed for those that can't do it for themselves. That's what representation is all about. Not about what's in it for me. Because if that's what you are looking at, then you're in the wrong business, even though politics has always been a business of self-enrichment and self-preservation. But that's what the Now wants to change. And it's an uphill battle, but that's okay. We are radical enough to fight that battle. I don't back down from a fight. I have never done that. I plan to stand that now at the age of 60. So again, we are going to keep coming to the people with what we believe is right for the people. And, you know, a lot of people have started believing in the Now. Beginning, a year ago when we launched, we had a good following. A lot of people say, you're going to make it. A year later, the people are wondering which parties we are going to join to form the new government. And all we can say is, vote for the Now. Make sure the Now is in a commanding position to ensure that the agenda we have can truly be fulfilled and the people of St. Maarten can really, really move forward. When I look at what happened with the Inya loan, all I can say is this government continues to try its utmost to sell us out to our colonizers and to financially re-enslave us for another set of 100 millions of guilders, saying we're working on it. For years, I have been asking in and outside of Parliament that we legalize weed. The time has come now that we are going back to the polls. And nobody has stood up and fought for this legalization. I am not in favor of no RFP to bring in no Canadians or whomever and give them all the licenses because they're going to do everything for free. Not me. I don't go on radio stations and say I because I believe in team. No. There is no I in team. We need to get serious, people of St. Maarten. The time has come. January 11th is going to be a very important day. I will not say it's going to be the make or break day, because we always say it's the mother of all elections. No. It's going to be a day that you will be given the opportunity to put a group of people in power that can and will make the difference that this country needs. That is Team Now. I want you all to have a wonderful weekend. Sorry, wonderful weekend. I'm still living on the weekend days. I want you all to have a great week. Remember, failing to plan is planning to fail. This government has done that over and over. Please share my podcast, like it, subscribe to my YouTube, and I'll see you all next week again. Remember, watch the weather. If anything, I'll come out and I'll have a discussion about it in the end of the week. Bunks is out.